Hello, TYS. I miss you guys. I wish we were rehearsing every week. We've got such great music, and you had such a great start in that first rehearsal after our concert. But let's talk about Mendelssohn because I want you to be prepared once we get back. I'm hoping we'll be back soon and we can continue where we left off and have a glorious finale to our great season. You know, when I think about all the great things we've done this year, I'm extremely happy, from Don Juan to all the other things that we've done so well. In fact, I still remember the oohs and ahs after the Brahms and the Weber from our February concert. So I'm looking forward to finishing off this year and having a glorious end to a glorious start. So Jakob Ludwig Felix Bartholdy Mendelssohn. That was his full name. Let's just say Mendelssohn, or Felix Mendelssohn for now. He was a German composer born in Hamburg in 1809. Did you know that someone born in Frankfurt is called a Frankfurter, and someone born in Hamburg is called a Hamburger? Well, okay, let's get serious again. So he was the son of a banker. His father was not that enthusiastic about him doing music because he didn't think he would apply himself. In fact, his sister Fanny was the best musician when they were children. However, Felix became extremely serious and he became very good at what he did. In fact, people considered him the new Mozart. Mozart had a great reputation all around Europe, and so they thought that Mendelssohn was going to be the very next Mozart. He was a child prodigy. Even when he was 6, 7 years old, he was playing things way above his age. He was very fluent with piano, he played organ, and he was a composer. And so from a very early age, he was very exciting and he was very serious about what he was doing. So he wrote over 750 works. That's even more than Mozart. Mozart wrote over 600. But Mendelssohn wrote over 750 works in his time. For string players, you want to look at his 12 string symphonies that he wrote when he was a little kid. When he wrote his first symphony, he was in his late teens. Now, we are looking at the Reformation Symphony, which is called number 5, but actually it wasn't number 5. It was number 2. It was the second symphony. Now, this is what happened. This is why it's called a Reformation Symphony. They were having a big celebration, the 300th anniversary of Martin Luther's Reformation, and they were going to have a big festival, and Mendelssohn wanted to write a symphony for that festival. Unfortunately, he couldn't get it done in time. His sister Fanny gave him the measles. He contracted the measles from being around his sister. I'm sure some of you have done that too. And he was sick, so he couldn't finish it in time. So he began that work when he was 20 years old. He finished it when he was 21 in 1830. So it was too late for the Augsburg Confession celebration. However, he was able to get it played in Berlin in 1832. It met with mixed reviews. The reviews were not all that great because some people said it was too old-fashioned. Mendelssohn had a reverence for Johann Sebastian Bach, and that was considered old-fashioned in that time. Those of you who know Bach, and all of you should, you realize what a great composer he was and how great his counterpoint was. And the essence of his counterpoint can be seen in his fugues. Now, you know what a fugue is. And so when we say fugato, it means fugue-like. And in this symphony, we have lots and lots of fugato sections. And to some of those musicians back in that time, that seemed old-fashioned and they didn't want to do it. To us today, we think it's fantastic. We love Bach, we love Mendelssohn, we love fugato. It's exciting. So when Mendelssohn got that negative reviews from some of the musicians, he said, I just want to burn it and I don't want to see it again. In fact, it wasn't published until 20 years after he died. And that's why it's called his Fifth Symphony and not his Second Symphony. So the other symphony that is played quite often is the Italian Symphony. Youth Symphony did that maybe 3-4 years ago. And the last movement is wicked fast. And at first, Youth Symphony said, this is much too fast, much too fast. But after 10 weeks of practice, they played it at the concert much faster than Mendelssohn wanted, much faster than I wanted too. But the audience thought it was just great. Let's talk about the symphony. In the beginning, we have a very somber, very solemn, slow introduction begun by the low strings, especially the violas. Then we have entrances of the low brass, trombones. I like to speak particularly to the trombones because I think there's a lot that people don't understand. The trombones in Germany were basically the church instrument. They used trombones because they felt the trombone choir represented the voice of God. And so it was used in sacred music in the churches. Trumpets were in the battlefield, horns were in the post, drums were in the battlefield, but they moved the trombones to the church. If you listen to the symphony, that very beginning, we have a trombone choir, and it's a beautiful, warm, rich sound. After the introduction, it's called Allegro Fiocco. Fiocco means fire. And this represents the fight between the Protestants and the Catholics. Trombones don't play. Trombones aren't a part of that. So I think that's very interesting. What you find is a lot of fugato section. It's all fire and brimstone, and the orchestra is in the battle, in the heat of battle. And here we have a very exciting portrayal of all of the strife that was going on 300 years before Mendelssohn wrote this symphony. When the battle reaches its apex, the strings come in and play a Dresden Amen. This was a famous church Amen. And Amen meant let's stop the battle, let's stop the strife. And then after the Amen, the strife began again, but then the Dresden Amen comes in a second time. The second and third movements are just interludes, because the first and fourth movements are the big, powerful movements, the ones that move the audience. This second movement, instead of a slow movement, it's more like a scherzo, and it's in the style of a German dance, a German folk dance. Da 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 da. So that certainly, it's not filled with strife. It's just fun. It's a fun second movement doesn't last very long, but it's an interlude. And then the third movement is like his song without words. The first violins are the singer, everyone else accompanies, and it's basically a nice, slow, melodious song that's an interlude and gives way to the fourth movement. Without any break, the fourth movement comes in, and we hear the hymn written by Martin Luther, Mighty Fortress is Our God. He doesn't bring it in with a full orchestra, but one lone, beautiful flute sound. The flute plays it, and then one by one, the woodwind section joins in. It's a great moment in the symphony. So after that, after the full chorale has been played, then we get into more of a fugato section again. Now, a lot of you will realize that there are some bars that don't have 4 beats, they only have 2 beats. And so for all the time that I've ever done this, people ask, why is there only 2 beats in this bar? Is this a misprint? No, it's not a misprint. This is before the days of Stravinsky, where almost every bar has a different meter. It's just that in the context of the hymn, that section, that part of the hymn only has 2 beats. So what he's doing is following the hymn. And I guess those who knew the hymn would realize that's just how it goes. So don't be alarmed when there are only 2 beats in this particular, in a couple particular places. It's just following the hymn. So just count 1, 2, and go on to the next 4 bar. So what happens is that this continues and continues and continues, and then we come to a glorious D major section. Now, do you know what I always say about D major? Every composer from the time of Bach through now has a different meaning for each key. And in the history of music, D major is a celebration key. You'll find lots of D major at Christmas time. D major you will find at this point as a celebration. And as the strings play the 16th notes in their celebration, this is something you have to really work on because it's tough and it goes fast. And so after all of these entrances, steady entrances in the fugato style, we come to the end where the brass come in again. See, trombones are here now. They've been resting from the time of the fuoco, the fire and brimstone, and they didn't play in the little German folk dance or the song without words. But now we're serious again. We're in D major. They bring the trombone choir in. And at the very end, we hear a full-blown, a mighty fortress is our God, with full brass, full strings, full woodwinds, and timpani. And it comes to a slow and majestic end. So I'd like you to listen to the whole thing. I'd like you to play with your recording. I can't wait till we get back together so we can do this. We are going to do a virtual recording. So you'll need to make sure you know this, because part of the symphony we're going to record individually and then put it together on YouTube. So learn your parts. Make sure you keep practicing. And watch my countdown to the first rehearsal, because each week I'll be giving you something different to work on. And by the end, you'll be ready to record it. When we record it, we'll get a chance to look at it on a video and put it all together. Thank you so much. Take care. Be safe. Bye-bye.